Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting episode of Two Men in Black and White, an honest conversation. If we're going to have an honest conversation, let's have one. Let's talk about the corruption we are witnessing now and why, in fact, not a soul is doing anything about it. I just don't understand why we are sitting back watching a man who claims to be a billionaire use the United States government as his own personal fucking piggy bank, just flying around the world picking up $400 million gifts. If they're going to give him a $400 million plane, imagine what the return is going to be. Imagine what the return is going to be. It's just like NIL. If they can pay the kids all those millions, imagine what they're making. All right. My partner in crime is here with us today, Brock Ganeles. Hey, Brock. Wow. Talk to me, my friend. This is next level corruption like we have never seen before. And it really is it's mystifying why we as 30 million, or at least half of us, aren't burning the place down.
Yeah, how long are we going to go having our lunch money taken from us every single day? Just every day we're walking into the lunchroom and dropping our lunch money on the table because we're afraid to get in a fight. Is that the reason? Because it's so fucking obvious that Trump is both misusing the position that he was given by the American electorate, right? And showing absolutely no regard for what's in the best interest of the American people.
Yeah.
Right? He wields the power, therefore he should get the riches. And he just feels justified in it, so he doesn't care. He's sleeping like a baby. In fact, he's sleeping like a baby even in his meetings, right?
Yeah.
Believe me, he's sleeping good. We see it.
We see it. He's walking around glitching, right? Walking in the wrong directions, right? Just a horrible morning, a horrible look for him over there in the Middle East today. I mean, the guy's obviously jet lagged. He can't hang. He's got no stamina. And he's not smart to begin with. So you throw fatigue on top of that, and the guy's just a friggin' mess. So, meanwhile, his kids, Eric Dum Dum is out here making announcements, to the Arab Emirates about, this pool that's going to be the highest pool in the world, thousands of feet up in this. It's just like, how do we not stop this man from profiting off the presidency, right?
We're just watching it. I mean, it's ironic that even a few of the right wingers are getting, sort of don't like the look, right? Rand Paul doesn't like the look. Ted Cruz was like, well, I'm not sure that plane would have the proper security, right? Ben Shapiro, of all people, is saying that Trump shouldn't accept the gift, right? Even for some of them, this is a bridge too far, but Trump's a fucking malignant narcissist and a psychopath. He doesn't even see it. He can't even feel shame. It's not even in his DNA. It's just not there for him. He just feels like he deserves it and he should take it. So they're all going to ultimately have to swallow it.
Right.
No one's doing anything.
Now tell me this though. Are they smart enough to play three-dimensional chess? Like, is Trump doing this to keep our eyes off the prize of snatching healthcare?
I never believe that. I think that's always us, the media, someone trying to impart on Trump characteristics that he doesn't have. He's just playing for today and doing what he thinks wins the day. He only really plays for what's right in front of him. So I don't think he's got some sophisticated strategy of pulling things away. He just wants to shine on him in the moment. Budget arguments, that's boring. me getting a big gift, me prancing around the world as the leader and getting showered with praise and affection. That's what he's thinking about today. So just like I didn't want Bill Gates to impart on Elon Musk qualities he doesn't have, like empathy, let's not impart on Trump qualities he doesn't have. He's not a smart, strategic thinker, right? He's a malignant narcissist moron, but he's loving the attention.
Yeah, and it's all it is about him. It's always a show with this guy. He's not a very good performer. I never watched The Apprentice. I pretty much thought it was a boring ass concept and never watched. Not one episode. I'm proud to say. So I didn't contribute,
I
to
did
his.
watch season one. I did watch season one.
Did you
But of
really?
course, yeah, it was the last two were a white guy and a black guy, and the white guy won. And like
Oh,
it's even
sure,
come
of
out
course.
after the fact that Trump said there's no way a black guy can win.
Right. Well, it's funny too because on Capitol Hill you got Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Senator Murphy. Folks are trying to call him out in the House. They're talking about saving SNAP benefits, right? SNAP benefits, and they act as if, well, not a lot of people use it. There are millions of people who need these benefits, and it's cruelty for cruelty's sake. This guy is telling you how many dolls you shouldn't have for Christmas. And meanwhile, he's gallivanting around in a $500 million airplane because some, prince thinks he should have it because they got more money than they know what to do with over there. And this is a drop in the bucket for them. This is nothing for them to give somebody a $400 million plane. And he's trying to tell us, well, these lawmakers are going to get rid of this, that, and the third, to pay for the fat cats to get fatter. I mean, it's so frustrating. Like, what? There's only the 1%. What about the 99%? That there's
No, it's an elitism mindset. It goes with the white supremacy. It's a belief that you deserve this or that you're an achiever, you're elite, you're better than, and that the others are kind of living off the talents of the few, and those few deserve the riches. So it's not that the oligarch mindset here is not that far from the Trump mindset, right? Trump's maybe an extreme version of this malignant narcissism, but if you go down the list of the Musks, the Zuckerbergs, the Peter Thiels, like they, scratch the surface and they kind of feel the same way, right? Like that, they're manipulating the masses. Everyone else is just kind of, hasn't worked hard enough, doesn't deserve as much. And that's sort of just the overarching thesis of the Project 2025 mindset that's being injected into America. And it does play into maybe that old American elitism,
right.
and pull yourself up by the bootstraps and rugged individual. I would say it's turned into toxic selfishness, but it's a driving force. It's fuck minorities. It's
Right.
Fuck the disabled. Oh, there's no wheelchair ramp. They can't get in the building. Ah, too bad. They can stay at fucking home. Fuck the poor. They don't have enough money. Why do they go, it's not fair to us to have to pay more in taxes just to feed them, right? I mean, it's just a selfishness, fuck them mentality, and it's white supremacy, right? We're staring at it, but Mark, why is America so docile? Why are we accepting this? Why are we handing over our lunch money without a fight? Why is it a sense just enough to be seen and heard, and no one's actually exerting power, which is the only language Trump understands or will react to? Explain to me why. Explain to me why white America. I kind of understand where black America's at. We've talked about it. Like they're stepping back. There's still a step back and going, okay, let's see if white America's going to actually step up and do anything here.
Right.
What's your view on white America? Why white America is so soft and allowing itself to get pushed around? Not the elites, the everyone else white America.
Right. I think upper middle class white America on down is so comfortable in their skin and unfazed by the changes that have been made, even with the government layoffs, even with the Doji Bros cutting, white folks too. right? They're going to bounce back. They're going to be fine, right? They're going to find a way to make it, right? They're, you know, 75% today, 75% of white Americans have no relationship with black and brown America. 75, that's 3 out of 4. That is 3 out of 4, and it's by design, right? It's that whole us and them mentality. So they're going to be fine, right? I know plenty of mediocre white guys, Brock, and you do too, that are making good money, living high on the hog. And I think the comfort level just says, why bother? Why bother? I can't do anything anyway, right? And you get that kind of that blasé attitude about it, and you just say, we're gonna be fine. So
So
why
you
am
think
I
it's
out
just
here
you
fighting
think
for
it's aggravating but not angering. It's like an aggravating, that sucks. This is the wrong direction. I'm not happy with the way things are going, but
pay a little more here and there, whatever? Maybe we'll go away for 7 days instead of 10 this summer, right? Maybe we'll only take 2 vacations, right? I just think that you know growing up the way we did, knowing as many white men as I do, right? I am shocked at some of the good fortune some of these guys have run into. I can go through my main friend group there, right, from my senior year and tell you how well these guys have done. I think there's 2 millionaires in there. I'd be shocked that there. I know a guy who got divorced, retired at 55, got divorced, married again, started a whole new family, and paid for college for his. Now, I don't know where the money came from, right? Maybe it was left by a parent, deceased parent. I don't trust fund. I don't know, right? But that's a lot of money. A friend of mine told me years and years ago, 2 kinds of people in this world: those who can afford a divorce and those who can't, right? You do the math. The math don't be mathing when it comes to divorce, especially with kids, right? So you look at the kinds of lives people are leading, right? They got their SUV, they got their second and third car for the kids, they got college funds tucked away. Why mess with that, right? Like, why blow all that up for others?
for others, and or just because Trump is socking away billions in his Bitcoin, and okay, so he takes a plane, he doesn't take a gift of a plane, big deal, so he builds a Trump Tower Damascus, or he doesn't. So Jared, so Khashoggi gets carved up with a hacksaw. We overlooked that one, right? So what? A bunch of kids get shot in school, but as long as it's not my kids, right?
No,
And people
not
don't
my
get
kid.
riled up, as long as it's not my neighborhood.
Yeah, it's
So it's
NIMBY.
just the comfort level. That never went to war, never has
Yep,
had real conflict. 9/11 was the biggest thing in our lives, but for the most part, other people fought that war. It was a war of choice. No one got drafted.
right.
Most of us watched it on TV.
All right. Come to find out, there were no weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, we got lied to, but it didn't affect our lives.
Didn't affect our
All
lives.
right. I guess I kind of. Is this what late stage Roman Empire was like, where everyone was just so comfortable that things were crumbling around them, but
And they wanted games. Bring
yeah,
us
they weren't. Yeah,
games.
they wanted to be entertained, and therefore, no one really stood up and shouted from the hilltops. Or maybe there were a few people. There were, I'm sure, AOCs and Jasmine Crockett's and Bernie Sanders in every civilization that
Right.
that declined, yelling and everyone and being ignored as people drank their
Yep.
wine and watched the lions like eat the Christians and all that stuff, right? So.
Exactly. But the thing about it is people don't understand that with a loss of democracy comes the loss of this good life you've been living.
Yeah, but we
Right?
don't know. You don't know till you don't know till
Hold
you
on.
get there, right?
Right.
Yep.
Right. You're not going to be able to just go out and buy the car you want. You're going to buy the car we tell you to buy. You're not going to be able to go to the school you want to go to. You're going to go to the school we tell you to go to. You're not going to be able to pick and choose. I know a guy who played for the Russian Olympic team, and it was decided early on in his life that he was going to be a hockey player or else.
Yeah, but for now, the white people think they are going to be able to go to the school they want to, and the school choice is going to get them away from those, dirty public schools with all those people of color in them, and they're going to have their own little schools on the side, right? So they'll be kind of being sold that bill of goods as a part of we're going to rip down DOE and Texas. As I was rolling through Texas, heard about it on the radio, right? Vouchers, 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 right? School choice, really choice for the richest. But really, these people were already, most of these kids are already going to private schools, but now they're just going to get a tax break for it. It's just more money flowing to the same 1%. All right, that explains it. So my anger has started to become directed at those on the left that have the platform. So yes, I love what 5051's doing. Yes, I get the indefensible emails and read about what they're doing. And yes, on June 14th, there's going to be the No Kings
More
in
kings.
America marches, right, all over the country. But my take is like Donald Trump and MAGA do not give a shit if you march along all 50 states while they're having a military parade in DC, because that's all they're going to focus on. And by the way, they're laughing at you suckers and losers who are marching in all these other cities, because it's more convenient for you to just go to your neighborhood march, and parade down the street waving your signs. That's not power. Trump does not care. He only responds to power. You being heard and finding community isn't enough anymore. Maybe that was good for March and April, and it showed that there were a lot of like-minded people. But this is a game of power.
Yep.
And that's not power. That's soft.
It really is soft and charming. And the thing about it, Brock, is, they're only going to respond to disruption, to having their program disrupted. That's when we'll see what this MAGA movement is made of, right? They didn't, when Joe Biden disrupted Trump's first, term, the end of his first term, trying to go into a second. That's when we saw them climbing the walls and taking dumps on the floor. That's when we're going to see the nonsense. We'll see what they're made of, and see how many people want to take a chance on going to prison again and hoping that he can, write these blanket pardons for 2,000 nut jobs. Right? In the meantime, they don't care if there's a fucking march going on in Idaho, in Pocatello. They could care less as long as
there's going on in LA, Chicago, Houston, really any city, because they just think the cities are all lefty and lefts, and that's where all the color, people of color are, even though the marches are all white. But it's just like they've kind of written off the cities anyway. They're crime infested, this, that, and the other thing. So it's not gonna move the needle at all. Zero. In terms of the white supremacy movement. Project 2025 is just marching along, taking shit away, implementing their view of the world.
Right. Isn't this what we've done all along now? Isn't this what we've done as America? We've kicked the can down the road on our racial reckoning since I was a baby, since Buck was a baby, since the turn of the 20th century. Here we are in the 21st century, and we're still kicking the can down the road. At what point does all of America come together and say, you know what? We cannot continue down this path. We cannot continue with these separatist notions that make us a weaker republic. It doesn't make us stronger. But by trying to find ways to defund HBCUs and make college more expensive and more inaccessible for Black and brown people, we're not strengthening our nation. We're not creating future leaders of tomorrow.
Making our public schools worse, making our air quality worse again. But of course, the worst in the poorest neighborhoods and affecting people of color again, right? And not even having an organized plan to deal with disasters anymore, because you know what, that's the unfortunate people. I guess things didn't roll their way. They didn't have enough money to rebuild. Fuck them. And taking healthcare away from the poorest, and taking food stamps away from the poorest. It's just like it's sort of a sweeping. We don't care about these people. Your argument, though, is that middle of the road white person, male or female, female, you took away her choice in half the country, but she still
Right.
rolled along and voted for Trump, right? At 51%. That you don't have to really do anything for these people except keep their lives comfortable enough and make sure that their social hierarchy feels good for them and they still feel like they're running shit even though they aren't running anything, but they feel like they're running shit because in their local neighborhood they got a better life than the people of color who they don't really have to see except
Yep.
on the other side of the tracks.
And think about it. Half the babies born in America every year are babies of color, right? And white America is not keeping up. These few thousand or few hundred people you've been deporting and sending back home, that's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut into the browning of America. And the browning of America is really only upsetting to one group of people, and that is white America. And I don't understand why they have such a difficult time with people of color, with things that are different, with things that they don't understand. If you take a little bit of time to just understand who African Americans are, what their story, what their origin story is, to take some time to understand Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders, Hispanic. Hey, look, nobody has a problem celebrating Cinco de Mayo, right? Everybody's out there doing Patron shots, eating tacos and burritos, right? You're all about the culture then, right? Like, but do you really know what Cinco de Mayo is all about?
Yeah, people don't care.
No, and that's what I don't understand. We know all about your culture, white America,
Well,
right?
it's been forced down your throat.
Exactly. Exactly. For 16 years of formal education, right? K through 12, and then, your postgraduate degree until I got to Howard University.
It gets back to that toxic selfishness. It's the whole belief that everyone should speak our language, right? English should be the only language spoken. Getting upset if you hear someone speaking a foreign language when,
Right.
as if English is the only language in the world, right? That's just
Right.
such a myopic, tunnel vision view of the world. And just thinking everyone else should learn about your culture and honor your culture versus you learning about theirs, right? That's the selfishness of America. I guess it's coming home to roost. And now we've elevated the most selfish person we ever could have made. You couldn't make a more selfish person in a lab, right? It's like a Dr. Frankenstein of selfishness, racism, narcissism, right? That's what we've foisted on, but that's what we've elevated as our leader. And maybe it's appropriate.
Right.
But now that we have it and so many Americans see the detrimental nature of it and the country moving in the wrong direction against even the values that we've honored along the way and grown up on. And the things that supposedly matter to us now being challenged, right? Just the right and wrongs that we were brought up on. We weren't brought up to learn about racism in other cultures, but there's some basic white person shit that was just like stuff that you just kind of bought into, whether you're religious or not.
Right.
And even those values are now like being thrown out the window and challenged.
Right.
And no one's doing anything. Like just so little being done about it.
Right. And we thought, Brock, remember now, growing up, we thought there was no greater honor than to serve your country, either in the military or as an elected representative, right? We were taught to revere the Kennedys, right?
Yeah.
Right? The Bushes.
It was the best of us. It was the best of us that did that. The most courageous of us went to war. The smartest and best of us got into politics.
Yeah. And think about it. When did it all change? When it started becoming a full-blown money-making enterprise, right? When they realized they could, CNN did that show with Paul Begala and who they had the right guy, one guy from the right, one guy on the left. And then they started realizing, whoa. And then Rupert came along, right? In the early 2000s and turned America into a shell of itself with half of the country thinking that ideology matters more than fact.
Well, I think capitalism matters more than democracy. I think that
Exactly.
we came to love our capitalism, and oh, we're going to export our capitalism to the world,
Right.
not our democracy, right? I think there was a loss of values along the way, but damn, for a country that thinks it's so tough and right and the policemen of the world and the strongest this, we got the strongest military, the strongest economy, the best this and the best that. We're literally allowing the worst of us to change the dynamic in the country, and the majority, and I still think the majority feels this way, and an increasing majority feels this way, that the country is moving in the wrong direction.
Oh, no doubt.
Yet there is not the inclination to actually fight for the America people want. There's just this complacency. Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's just too much comfort, as you point out. But we're not a fighting country, right? We're rubbing our bellies, staring at the TV, wondering who the next Housewives episode is going to be and what city they're going to go into, and what the big drama is going to be. When there's no bigger drama than what's going on in the country, and
Exactly.
we watch other populists flood the streets and fight for their democracy, and we're impressed by it. We're still impressed by it,
Right. Right.
but
And,
we
and
won't do it.
so what are we looking for? We're still looking for our three core pillars to save this democracy. We're looking for leadership, action, messaging. I mean, this should be the time that someone is trying to emerge as a leader with some powerful messaging to take action against these nut jobs trying to take away like basic, basic human decency and human rights.
I want like huge radical messaging. And
Right.
the only one that'll come with it, like, I mean, I just keep falling back on like AOC and Jasmine Crockett and Bernie who's too old. It's like, I'm talking about like radical, like we need, like, I want someone to start Paul revering and like
Right.
sounding the alarm that we need to have a rebellion. And maybe the first rebellion is just like a workers' strike where everyone just strikes for a day or a couple days and fucks with the economy. We haven't
Right.
even done something like that. You know what I want on the 14th? I want a real action. I want everyone to go to DC, sit in the fucking streets and block that parade and make a statement of power. A soft statement. It's a peaceful statement, but just a statement of no, you're not parading our military around. You don't run this shit. You work for us, Donald Trump. We don't work for you. You got this all backwards. This military doesn't serve you. This military serves the American people, and we're here to show you that. I'm just not hearing it. I'm not seeing it. The groups that have the loudest voices aren't saying it. They're still traditional, and they're still talking about 2026 midterms and shifting the map and shit like that. It's like we can't sit around for another 20 months.
No, I don't. And like I said, far too many times, I don't want to talk it into existence, but I'm doubtful for a 26 election for a
I mean,
midterm.
Project 2025 wins.
Yep.
That's where we're at right now. They're winning, right? Like, and they're progressing every single day. And some things are more egregious than others, right? Trump accepting a $400 million gift from the current government is just an egregious, visible manifestation of what's going on beneath the hood. That's just
All
the
the
stuff
bullshit.
that we see. And
Right.
maybe that gives us something to talk about and argue about.
Right.
But it's going on every day in little and big ways. And
Color.
it's just rolling downhill, and no one wants to jump in front of it because they don't want to be the one run over. But we're all going to get run over in the end. And
Yeah.
only by unifying can we actually have the show of power. So I still don't understand why we can't like get white and black leaders in a room and come out with a broader, bigger message and have different kinds of rallies with saying different kinds of things and rallying like a oppositional fighting force, not rallying like a political party that's thinking about how to sway hearts and minds in 18 months.
And maybe we advocate for that tomorrow. Let's talk about who we want to get in a room to powwow to come out with a fighting plan. Let's put a team of 6 together. 3 from your side, 3 from my side, and let's see what we come up with.
I don't know where I'm going to find 3. All right, you gave me a tough assignment. I'm frustrated though, and I just hope, I hope what we say resonates with some more people, because I just feel like more people need to be inspired to be thinking about fighting, not just thinking about like how frustrated they are, right?
Exactly. All right, bro. We'll pick it up tomorrow. Same bad channel.
All right, Mark. Always a pleasure. Talk to you tomorrow.
Yes, sir. See ya. Peace.